Zone of the Enders, the second runner, was a great game for its time, and garnered glorious fandom with its mature cast of characters, challenging 3D spatial combat system, and intriguing effects. Now, 15 years down the road and one HD remaster on the PlayStation 3 later, the classic gem has been remastered once more on the PlayStation 4, equipped with 4K support along with a few nifty VR additions. For those of you unfamiliar with the Zone of the Enders games, the world is set in the distant future where humanity has conquered the solar system and encountered a new energy source called Metatron, while the colonized humans on Mars are fighting for independence from Earth's dictatorship. Zone of the Enders 1 featured frenetic gameplay and predictable but enjoyable plotlines, complete with stylish cinematic cutscenes. Its sequel, Zone of the Enders 2, the second runner, continues along this path with bigger, tougher robot enemies and much more refined controls at the time. Like the first game, Zone of the Enders 2 and its remastered version are essentially a third-person shooter combined with hack-and-slash action elements as you pilot a powerful mech called Jehuti. Much of what makes the game series so successful was the mecha design and its presentation, and boy, it does feel good to finally be back on the pilot seat once again. The base game of Zone of the Enders, the second runner, remains mostly unchanged, save for a few tweaks. You now have the option to choose between the classic control scheme and the new Pro controller scheme. Sub-weapons can also be assigned to the D-pad, allowing for faster switching during mid-combat. This does improve the combat experience overall, as you no longer need to navigate through its drop-down menu. Having said that, for a remastered version, the controls may need a little more work to match up to current day's gaming expectations, as it can be slightly clunky and needs getting used to. For example, the auto-targeting system still locks onto the closest target, friend, and foe. This often causes you to attack your allies by accident, and the only real way to avoid this is to not button mash your attacks. In regards to gameplay, it is very intuitive and reflects the fact that you're really piloting a nimble giant mech. Attacks are fast-paced and satisfying to execute. The variety of sub-weapons offer plenty of options to defeat the gallery of enemies in the game, and best of all, seeing all the action play out smoothly in 60 frames per second on a 4K screen is an absolute treat. Smooth and shiny visually does not necessarily mean it is better, as what hinders the remaster from shining brighter is that aside from nostalgic value, the game design remained old school. It is fine to incorporate puzzles and escort quests into the missions. However, the execution felt stale and dated, as present-day players may not find redundancy in level design to be as tolerable as before. Audio-wise, the remaster has a very crisp and clean soundtrack that gels seamlessly with the game's sci-fi ambiance. The game now supports surround sound that adds an extra kick to the action and destruction. This particularly shines when the game is played with a VR headset. Speaking of which, the VR editions are the real reason why you should get this remaster. You can play the entire game in first person with a VR headset. Switching the game to VR mode will put you in the cockpit of Jehuti, where everything is up close and immersive. Moving around and fighting can seem tricky at first as you no longer have the wide view of your surroundings, but the developers anticipated this and included a 3D model Jehuti hologram to assist your orientation and provide additional visual cues for your attacks. If you've always wanted to know what it feels like to be in a giant mech vividly, this is a good start. Overall, it was fun to play through the game again from start to finish. Getting reacquainted with the story, characters, and fast-paced combat was a nostalgic trip well spent. If you missed out on this game, this is the version you need to get. Returning fans should give the VR mode a try to re-experience the classic title in a whole new way.